I'm on.
Okay. They don't know we can hear them right now.
Oh. That's interesting.
Seriously.
At least I can hear them.
That's good. Yeah. Good. Put that one on too.
No, I'm going to turn it.
Oh, I didn't say it wasn't. Oh, you're
There we are.
you're wet with perspiration.
I started the video. Turn it down.
Does anyone happen to be on Facebook to see if we're on there yet?
Hello.
We are. We're live. We did it. All right. It's exactly 10 o'clock. We're going to admit a few more people here and then we'll get going.
Blankers.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Great on Facebook Live. And if you're
I'll go.
feeling really tech savvy, go ahead and post watch party. If you can find that on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. At least I can hear. I don't have to be seen.
All right. It looks like there's nobody in the waiting room now, so we'll get started. I'm going to share a slide show just for.
You're going to have to get over here.
Can everybody see that? Okay, hold on. Should I put it in the present mode?
It's closed. Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah. Yeah. They got my name.
You okay?
I don't know what I should do. I don't care that they don't see me. But here it is. Guys, like.
Are you guys on? Hello, I'm Lisa Treadwell, and I'm going to try to mute everyone first. Because Michelle, how did I do that? You're not muted. Could you please try muting yourselves?
How to mute myself.
Hold on. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody.
I think I'm muted.
No, whoever just said that, you're not muted. All right, here. Okay, for just a second, I muted everybody so we could get started. Hi, if you're wondering where you are and what you're doing, this is the Indy Senior Living Series. We're in July now. I'm Lisa Treadwell. I'm a realtor with Century 21 Sheets, and we've been doing these for 4 years. We're almost done with our 4th year now, and unfortunately, we've been on Zoom for the last, I think, four months or so. We are on Zoom, or we're on Zoom, we're on Downsizing Indy on Facebook Live, and we're also on YouTube. So it looks like we've got some watchers on Facebook. So when you came in, you were automatically muted and your cameras were turned off. I muted everybody just for a second, and then in just a second, I'm going to introduce our sponsors and our panelists. The screen that you see here now, these are our wonderful sponsors. There is a cost to doing this, and we couldn't do it without them. I could not afford to do it without them. So we really appreciate our sponsors. And because we're not in person, we are continuing to try to add value to them and get our sponsors more visibility with everyone that comes to our series. I have people that come, they text me all the time asking me for contractors, like a junk hauler, or I had somebody from this group ask me for an appraiser, painters. And so I pull from this group of people, these sponsors. These are people that I've worked with personally, or we've shared clients. So I know their business practices, and I will not lead you in the wrong direction in terms of contractors, because we are always using contractors. So, and sponsors like these guys. Today, I'm going to give them just a quick chance to introduce themselves to you so that you can see their faces. If you know Zoom, I think you could put it on speaker mode so that when somebody talks, their face pops up and you can see them. There's two people we're going to introduce, and they're going to give a blurb. We're highlighting Anthology of Meridian Hills and also Security Title. We're going to continue doing this each month, so we'll pick two, one at the beginning and one at the end of the introductions, just to give about 3 to 5 minutes, some sort of special you have going on, or what makes your business different than your competitors, and that sort of thing. So we're going to start with Rachel Parks Hogan, maybe. All right. I think we went through all the housekeeping items, right? Cameras off. Oh, if you're on a phone, if you have questions, click *6. If you're here in Zoom, just type it in the chat, or you can raise your hand and I'll look for it. We talked about sponsors. Michelle from my team is here. Julie could not be here, which is why I'm sort of fumbling through this slideshow, because she usually does this. I put the feedback link in the chat, and I'll put it in there again, but we're giving away prizes when you complete that feedback. And then lastly, tell other people about this event. You can share it on Facebook, host a watch party if you're really tech savvy. Also, we're going to be recording this and posting it so that if you somehow missed it or have technical problems, you'll be able to get it again and watch it over and over again. So if I can figure out how to unmute you, Rachel, I'm going to unmute you. Give me a second. I'm going to stop the share for a second. Oh, I did it. You're on.
Okay, awesome. Well, I think what most people are wondering about right now with closings is how are we doing them given the COVID, especially with the new Marion County requirement that went into effect this morning at 8 a.m. to wear a mask basically everywhere except your house or in your car. So security title, we've got offices all over the state, but primarily here in central Indiana. And our focus right now with everything going on is making sure that everybody is comfortable with their closings. So if you have a closing coming up or you're thinking of buying or selling, do not be concerned about the closing process. We've got every option available these days. We can do so much electronically where you never even have to leave your house. Or you can close in your car. We can all wear a mask in the closing room. We can keep everybody separate. So there's so many options these days and so much innovation that has come from this COVID that has changed our industry tremendously, but in a lot of ways for the better because we've had to get creative. So if you're thinking of buying, selling, refinancing, certainly keep moving forward with that process. From a title perspective, we're not seeing any delays with the counties, with the lenders, anything like that. We're able to make the closing process as comfortable for you as absolutely possible.
That's awesome. Thank you, Rachel. Yeah, I can
You're welcome.
attest firsthand. They're my favorite title company, and they've been my favorite title company even through this. They've made it really easy, where some other title companies haven't necessarily. So thank you for sharing. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to unmute all of the sponsors, and we'll just go down the line. I'll just say your name and hold on, I didn't mean to hear that. And then you can just say your name, your company, and then we're going to end with Carol from Anthology. She's going to give a 5-minute blurb too. So let's go. Sarah, I see you here in my screen.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Green, and I'm the Sales and Marketing Director at Marquette, which is a senior living community continuing care on the northwest side of Indianapolis. Happy to be here.
Sarah, after you say your name and everything, if you don't mind, just type your contact information in the chat box below, and like your web link and things like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I see Jeff Stinson next.
Good morning. I'm Jeff Stinson. I'm a certified elder law attorney in the North Indianapolis area, where I work with folks planning for long-term care, whether that be in crisis or pre-planning. We do typically help folks get access to Medicaid or VA pension benefits to help offset the cost of long-term care and protect assets. And thank you for having me today.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Next, don't forget to put your contact info in there. I see Laura next. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Roman. I'm with Westminster Village North. I'm the Director of Marketing. We are a continuing care retirement community here on the northeast side of town. So we have independent living, assisted living, memory care in 2 levels, and the skilled nursing area. I'll just mention we are running a special on houses right now.
Awesome. Let's see. We went through, we introduced Rachel. I see Sarah's name. Are you there, Sarah McCord? Sarah. Okay, we'll come back to you. Who else is here? Help me out, Michelle. Do you see anybody? Am I missing anybody? Oh, hey, Dave and Lisa.
Hey, I'm Dave Holder. I'm the owner of Assisted Living Locators North Indianapolis. We're a no-cost referral service helping you navigate all the senior living options available. Thanks.
Awesome. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Curris. Good morning. And I do the same thing as Dave. I'm with Assisted Living Locators South Indy. And we work very closely with families or other seniors in their lives to help them identify the best senior living situations for their needs. It's a local service, and it's very customized and personalized.
Thank you. I see Misty again. Hey.
Hi, I'm Misty Fonz with Folklore Productions. I create personal history and family history videos to document your life and your family, your ancestors.
Awesome. Thank you. Your videos are amazing too, by the way. Sometimes on Facebook, I'll post some of the legacy videos that we do, or just video testimonials, and she does a great job. Next, I think Erin. Sarah, I see you now. I'll come back to you in just a second, but Erin, go ahead. Erin Schaus, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I'm sorry, good morning. I didn't know the video was working. This is Erin Schaus. I'm Director of Sales for Sycamore Reserve. We're a new independent living community. We just opened in February, and we're in the northeast corner of Indianapolis and welcoming new residents.
Awesome. Okay, we'll hop back to Sarah McCord.
Hi, sorry, I was on a phone call. I could hear you, but I was trying to do things. I'm Sarah McCord with BrightStar Care. We do in-home care. We focus on keeping you safe and as independent as possible at home, as long as you can be.
Okay, and thank you, Sarah. Besides Anthology, did I miss any sponsors? I should have you guys all unmuted. Just speak up or forever hold your peace. All right, it's on to you, Miss Carol.
Good morning. Thank you, Lisa and team. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and say hello to everyone. I'm with Anthology of Meridian Hills, and we're located on the corner of 86 and Meridian Street. So we're a beautiful, newer community. We offer assisted living and memory care. I just wanted to share a couple things with all. First is that we are accepting new residents, and throughout the whole course of the quarantine, our residents and staff remained well and healthy. So we're very proud of that, and the fact that our team members were so diligent in testing and care and everything that goes along with that. We have just open for tours. So if you're interested in taking a look at what we have to offer, give us a call. We have a special gift for anyone that wants to come and tour and take a look around. And we're offering a wonderful incentive through the end of August. So we'd love to see you and show you what we have to offer. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, awesome. And I think that something that is really hard to gauge and keep up with, Carol, is how you're doing your tours and who can be there and who can come in and everything. So I know it must be hard trying to sell your community to people when you can barely have them in the door.
Well, we've certainly had to be creative, as well as others here can attest to. Laura and Sarah. So yeah, but it's hopefully, like I said, we can allow 2 family members in for a brief tour. So it helps a lot to be able to see it in person. In fact, I'm taking this call from our 1-bedroom model apartment. So gives you a little bit of a view.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I know. I think all of us have had to learn how to be creative in some really weird times. And then there's Carol's information. But Carol, be sure to put all of that in the chat box also.
Yes, absolutely.
And again, we're filming this live, and we are also recording it. So we'll post it again. We'll have it on our website so you can share it. And so we're going to dive in and introduce our panelists. I'll let them introduce themselves because I'll mess it up. And person. Oh, where did everybody go? Okay, I'm just going to start with somebody. JJ, go ahead. Let's do a quick introduction, and then we'll go on to Marcy and then Tarek.
Morning, everyone. My name is JJ D. St. Jean. I'm a United States Postal Inspector. I spend most of my time investigating fraud against corporations, fraud against individuals, fraud against elderly, theft as well. And I'll be talking a little bit about that today.
Hey, and don't forget, everybody, the sponsors and panelists, go ahead and if you want to put your contact information in the chat box to the right. And you're up, Marcy.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Marcy Ralston, and I'm a special agent with the Social Security Administration, Office of the Inspector General. And we are responsible for investigating the fraud, waste, and abuse of the Social Security system. We do a lot of elderly fraud investigations as well, like JJ was talking about, and that's what I'll be focusing on today.
And next is Tarek.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tarek Brown. I am the president and CEO of Sequoia Aging and In-Home Solutions. Our organization strives to empower older adults, those of any age with a disability, and their caregivers by providing the innovative answers, services, and supports they need to achieve the highest and greatest possible independence, dignity, and quality of life. So this is a topic that we're very passionate about because we've heard a lot of fraud and scams and things like that really attacking our older adult population. So it's a pleasure to be here with you this morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, all three of you. I know that your schedules and calendars are probably packed. We try to plan these panels a year in advance because it is our goal to get some really good speakers, and I feel like we really accomplished that today. So I'm excited to dive in. So how we're going to do this is I'm just going to ask the question, and so that we're not talking, everybody talking over one another, we'll just go, typically when we're in person, just if somebody has something, you just sort of blurt it out. But since we're on Zoom, it's a little bit more difficult. So let's just go down the line just like we did in the introductions. So we'll go JJ, Marcy, and then Tarek. And then if you forgot something, just blurt it out after that, after that last person, or type it in the chat. Always use the chat. After each question is answered by our panelists, I'll just reach out to the audience to see if anybody has any questions. You can raise your hand if you know how to do that. Over in the chat box, there's also little things you can click to say, go faster, go slower, yes, no. They're like quick notes, I think. So we're gonna do this. I feel like each month we get better, and here we go. So the first question on our list, if I can pull that back up. Okay, panel question number 1. What are the most popular scams you are currently seeing?
The United States Postal Inspection Service covers anything that goes through the mail. So the most popular thing we're seeing right now is mailed cash. People are sending cash. Typically, no one should be sending cash through the mail. So what'll happen is somebody will get approached for a variety of different ways. It can be a type of romance scheme, a message on Facebook to somebody, a job posting on Craigslist. And what'll happen is somebody will get lured in thinking that they can earn extra money in some way or fashion by doing a job, and or they'll think that they won a lottery that they've never entered, which is important to think about. If you all of a sudden won a lottery winnings for $12 million and you never entered a Jamaican lottery, it should be a red flag. So anything revolved around mailing cash, the websites, the romance schemes such as Our Time and Christian Mingle and many others, people go on there and meet someone, start talking to that individual, and eventually get lured into some way, form, or fashion of sending cash or wiring money as well. So if you hear of this, this is a big red flag. If you hear of a family or friend or neighbor that talks about, I've met someone and they need a little help, so I'm going to wire them some money, I'm going to send them a check, I'm going to mail them cash. All of this are big red flags for the kind of things that we're seeing. A lot of work from home scams are what we're seeing as well. They can be reshipping scams. So somebody will use a stolen credit card number to purchase lots of electronics, and then they'll have you, the individual, receive these electronics and then mail them off to someone else. And it's just part of a scam. It's just part of a scheme. You go ahead and buy items and resell them at another location, be it eBay or any of the others. We still get a lot of the telephone calls. I'm sure all of you have received the telecommunications where it's recorded audio and they say that they're from the IRS and there's a warrant for your arrest. All of those, again, are big scams. The IRS is not calling you. And we get them from the Social Security Administration as well. We hear about those. I'll let Marcy touch on that. But all of these different avenues where they're calling you saying, you need to call us back, or you need to call us immediately, we're going to send the local sheriffs out. They're all scams. That's not how it's communicated at all. And a lot of these scams too, they'll revolve around the code of silence. They don't want you to say anything. They'll say, don't tell anyone about your lottery winnings, or don't tell anyone about this great opportunity. It's so that you're not talking, and therefore someone can't say, well, that doesn't sound right. That's too good to be true. No one's giving away free money. So it's, again, if you hear that word, don't tell anyone, definitely make sure that you're paying attention to that and listen to others if they say anything regarding that. We see other scams where they'll call an individual and say, I'm your granddaughter and I need money because I'm in jail. And you have to send this money over the border into Canada, into Jamaica, into Nigeria, into the UK, into Egypt. They change a little bit. They may not be around for a little while, but then they pop up again. And speaking of one that pops up again is the Publishers Clearinghouse. Someone will get a phone call, a text message, an email saying that they've won the Publishers Clearinghouse, but oh, by the way, you just need to pay $20,000 in cash and put it in a magazine and mail it to this address in one of the states, which will then be sent off to another state as well. No one is winning the Publishers Clearinghouse through an email, and it's something to be concerned with when all of a sudden your relatives, your loved ones say, I've just won $20 million, but I have to pay taxes and fees, and I also want a car. So those are the kind of things we want to look at. A lot of times too, when they want you to send that money, they might also use the green dot approach, because once you put money on a green dot card, you can give that number to the scammer and the scammer can pull that money off immediately. So it's one way that they can get money in a matter of minutes. Those are some of the most popular scams that we're seeing right now.
All right, thank you. I'll move on to Marcy.
So the Social Security Administration, Office of the Inspector General, we only investigate scams that involve the Social Security Administration. But the Federal Trade Commission reported in 2019, the most reported scam was the imposter scam, with someone pretending to be from the government or a private business or an individual asking for money or personal information. The Federal Trade Commission data actually reported that last year consumers lost $667 million to imposter scams. And so last year they were the most commonly reported scams. So usually what happens is you'll get a phone call, you'll be contacted either by a robocall, which we all get on a daily basis, a live caller, email, or a text. And basically they'll tell you there's been a problem with your social security number, or a so-called enforcement action has been filed against your social security number due to criminal activity. They may even threaten to come and arrest you. There's also many other versions of the scam. There's an emerging scam that has a coronavirus aspect to it. The scammer may say you have to pay a fee to get a special benefit increase or a payment due to the pandemic, or that SSA is going to suspend your benefits because they've had to close their offices.
That's crazy. I know that the robocalls have been picking up for myself. I'm sure they are for everybody. Tarek, you're up.
Thank you. So yeah, we've dealt with and heard of several different scams that are taking place. Some obviously more recent since COVID-19, but the three that I would like to highlight is funeral and cemetery scams. And this is where we've become aware that scammers are reading obituaries and attending a funeral service of a complete stranger to take advantage of the grieving widow or widower, and then claim the deceased had an outstanding debt with them, and they utilize that, taking advantage of the widower or widowee to try and collect that fake debt. So that's one that we've heard a little more about over the past, 3 or 4 months, but that's one that we do consistently hear things on. The second one is stimulus related scams. And we have been made aware that the Federal Communications Commission is aware of several scams related to the stimulus payments and loans that are being offered as part of the federal government response to COVID-19. These scams ask consumers to provide bank account information so funds can be released or loan applications can be approved. And then the third one is bogus COVID-19 related products and services. And so this is where, sorry, my phone's ringing. This is where scammers are reaching out to individuals, offering them fake drugs, vaccines, and devices that claim to prevent or cure COVID-19. And these scammers are preying on fears of shortages and encouraging older adults to stock up and purchase a large quantity of these items. And unfortunately, obviously, these items are not real. So those are the three that we have seen most prevalent here. In addition, JJ mentioned the grandparent scam, and I did have that listed as well. And what I find interesting about that is it's how the scammer is getting to grandma or grandpa by asking the question, "Hi, grandma or grandpa, do you know who this is?" And as a grandparent, we're going to instinctively throw a name out that closely matches the voice we're hearing. At that time, the scammer has established identity with that individual. And so it allows them the opportunity to continue to ask for money and things like that, as JJ pointed out. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I found that very interesting that they are really leveraging and using older adults' hearts. They're pulling on those heartstrings to get them to divulge information to help these scammers gain more dollars for what it is they're doing.
Yeah, I actually had a client who that last one that you're talking about, Torek, happened to. They're getting very, very savvy. I'm gonna open it up for questions. I'll unmute you all. Maybe I should not do that. I don't know. I don't know. This may or may not be a good choice, but I've unmuted everybody. If you've got a question, throw it out there for these guys. Anyone? Don't see any questions online. Okay, we're going to move on to the next question, which is how does one identify the scams and how do we avoid them? Like, what are some tips and tricks and maybe even things not to do? We'll go back to you, JJ.
When it comes to identifying whether or not something is a scam, the best practices when you get an email, phone call, text message, Facebook message, something in the mail, letter in the mail, I would start with assuming they're all scams and be on your guard. I think that's a best practice. Let's be vigilant as to whether or not we could be dealing with something that's a scam, because the truth is, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. No one is giving away a lot of money. It literally took an act of Congress to get $1,200 sent off in stimulus money. So no one's just handing out money for any reason. So when it comes to avoiding these, it's preventive measures, making sure that you're talking to individuals. Because if it sounds too good to be true, it is going to be that way. Just no one's giving away money, so we need to be vigilant of that. Also, too, use your own measures or your own ways of communications. If you come across a mailing or an email or a phone call that says they're from a certain agency. Even when I call somebody and I say I'm from the Postal Inspection Service, it's not uncommon for me to have to send them an email with my .gov email address, or I tell them to go to the website. Go to the Postal Service website. Down at the bottom, you'll see United States Postal Inspection Service. Click on there, and you can call us through that way. That way, it empowers the individual to not just trust the voice on the phone, but rather that they should make decisions for themselves and be intentional in how it is that they are going about verifying as to what it is that's coming to them. Because a lot of these instances, someone's looking to make some sort of money. And what we're seeing also is that an individual will be sent a check or a money order, and they will never ask for any of this. They will never request any of this, but it'll end up going to them. And a lot of times the letter will say, you know what, keep $500 for yourself, but just cash this money order or this check. And now it goes ahead and it gets cashed. So the individual thinks, great, I just made $500 and I have to send this $3,000 back to this unknown person that I've never met. Well, one of the problems is now that you've cashed that at your bank, you could be on the hook for the full $3,500. So it's something to keep in mind, is even when that check or that money order clears initially, you still might be on the hook because it's going to be a fraudulent check. So again, it comes back to preventive measures and talking with individuals.
Marcy.
So although the scams may vary, there are ways to identify them. SSA may call you in some situations, but they will never call you and tell you that your social security number has been suspended, or offer to increase your benefits or resolve an identity theft issue for a fee. They will not threaten you with arrest or legal action if you do not immediately pay a debt, a fine, or a fee. They won't request immediate payment or even accept payment via gift cards, prepaid debit cards, cash, wire transfers, or internet currency such as Bitcoin. And they will not demand secrecy from you in handling your social security related issues, telling you to make up a story to tell your friends, family, or store and bank employees. If you're going to a store to get gift cards, and they're not going to tell you to make up a story to tell that employee about the purchase of the gift cards. SSA will only send you emails or text messages in limited situations. When you have subscribed with SSA to receive updates, or as part of SSA's enhanced security when accessing your personal My Social Security account online, SSA will not send you an email with an attachment that has your personal information on it. The best way to avoid these scams is to hang up the phone. Earlier this year, the Inspector General for SSA OIG, Gail Ennis, she initiated a campaign called Slam the Scam, encouraging everyone to not engage with the scammers and just to hang up on them. Likewise, if you receive a Social Security related text or email from an unknown source that has a link in it, do not click on the link. If you receive a text, a call, or an email that you believe to be suspicious about an alleged problem with your Social Security number, account, or payments, never give them money or personal information. Do not respond. Hang up the phone. And if you receive a notice from SSA that you believe to be suspicious, call or visit your local field office.
All right, Tarek.
I would say, generally speaking, I've always told people, and you've heard this, if it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is, and it's probably a scam. Email is a way that scammers try and come at people to get money. And so what I point out is what comes after the @ symbol. Pay attention to that. I remember when I first started here at Sequoia in January, I was sitting in my office and a few of my senior leaders came to my office and I asked them, why are you here? And they said, we just got an email from you saying, can you come to my office? I need you to do a favor for me. When they looked at the email, of course it said tbrown@, but it did not say sequoia.org after it. So my advice would be, if you're receiving emails, always be intentional about paying attention to what comes after that @ symbol. If you know your loved one or a close connection of yours is always at Comcast.net or at Comcast.com, and you receive something that appears to be from them, look at what comes after the @ If it's not what you are normally used to seeing, do not open that email. I would not click any links in emails that are sent to you. So, again, to follow some of what the other panelists have said, don't answer calls or respond to text messages that come from unknown or suspicious numbers. Never share personal or financial information over the phone, via email or text. Be very suspicious of any caller who pressures you to make an immediate payment or share personal information, and always refrain from clicking links in text messages or emails, even if they appear to come from a friend or family member.
Yeah, that's great from all three of you. I know that I got a call from the utility company, and they told me they were going to turn off my electricity like in 2 hours if I didn't pay my bill. And I happened to be sitting right in front of my computer, and I pulled up, I'm on auto pay, like it just automatically comes out. And I was like, what are you talking about? It says, my account's paid up, whatever. And they, I was questioning, and then they just hung up. I called the number back, and it took me like a couple of times and them telling me to go to Speedway, gas station, or the dollar store and wire them the money. I was like, oh, so you're telling me this is, Citizens, and you want me to mail you a payment that's already up to date from a Speedway gas station? And that's when it clicked, but they had me for a little bit. I mean, they had me going. I was, I didn't want my electricity turned off. I got my kids here and everything. So they're pretty savvy. I'm going to open it up for questions again. Does anybody have any questions or comments, or maybe times when, people have tried to scam you, or different types of scams? Anyone?
Did you see me?
No. Feel free to chime in.
Oh, what do I have to do?
Another one that I've gotten a couple of times.
I can do this.
How
do I turn it on? Here's some.
Somebody was trying to chat. Somebody have something? Sorry, I didn't want to talk over anybody. I've gotten a couple of text messages from our managing brokers, and they said, hey, this is Jason Engel. Hey, Lisa, this is Jason Engel. I'm in a meeting right now. Let me know if you got this text message. And so, I'd be inclined to say, hey, yeah, I got it. And it was a scam. That's happened twice. Anybody else? For the good of the cause or questions?
Hi, I've had the Social Security scam. They tried calling me, and they tried to do or to say that the same thing that Marcy has said about, oh, your Social Security is going to be suspended and all that. And that clicked right away for me. And I said, hold on, why would my Social Security be suspending? So when you start questioning them, they hang up on you.
Yeah, that's what happened with the electrical scam with me. I actually texted Marcy, and I was like, so let me run this past you. And she's like, yes, it's a scam. Anyone else? Questions?
A question.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, real quick, if you're on the phone and not in the video and you have a question, press *6 on your phone. Okay, whoever that was, go ahead.
Well, actually, I have a couple of questions. First of all, I've been told by some people that if they can get you to say the word yes on the scam call, that gives them some kind of power. Is that true?
Any of our panelists heard that too, actually.
I have not heard that, but if that is a point of caution, I would say don't say the word yes. Immediately hang up if you do believe that it is a scam or not a legitimate phone call. But I've not personally heard that saying the word yes on one of these robocalls provide some type of power for the scammer to do what it is that they have planned.
Okay, my other question was, will there ever be a law to stop these robocalls?
I'm sorry. I do believe that is being worked on right now in government, and you can definitely Google that and see some of the recent cases that have come down. But yes, the Congress is coming down really hard on the robocallers right now, and that is a huge focus of theirs.
We had in a matter of 5 hours, we had 23 calls from the same group. I asked them to take me off their list. I got nasty with them. Finally, I blew a whistle, started blowing whistles in their ear. That doesn't discourage them either. So we finally figured out how to block the number. But it's so annoying, and I just feel like I shouldn't have to listen to that phone ring, and just not answer it. That's annoying too. I'm sitting in my private home. It's just I want some laws.
Yeah, already got
Yes,
laws.
Yes.
Anybody else?
I just want to make a comment on her previous question about the yes. I'm thinking what they're saying is anytime you give these individuals a positive word of encouragement that you are even slightly interested or slightly listening to them, they're all trained. Someone's training them to make these phone calls. So thinking, when you say yes, that's just to them, it gives them the encouragement to keep going, and they know that they've at least got a little bit of a hook on you at that point. So that might be what you're referring to. It's all psychological.
I heard that that yes, the power of the yes.
Lisa?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Lisa, this is Ina, and I have a question for the lady who just spoke, because she said she found out how to block them. I would like to know how to block them, because we have so many calls now that we do not even answer our phone unless we know who it is. And we say to our friends, if you call and we don't answer, leave a message, because then we'll talk to you. So how did she block those calls?
I think she did it from her cell phone. I don't know your name, who was talking. It just says
Phyllis.
Phyllis. Okay, Phyllis. Yeah. It's on your cell phone, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's a function of your cell phone.
But ours are on our home phone mostly. So
Mm-hmm.
I have an iPhone, one of the newer ones, and it's running iOS 13. I believe there is a function that any number that's not in your contacts automatically goes to voicemail.
So that would be the home phone as well?
No, it's just iOS, just your Apple iPhone, just the iPhone.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a way, Ina, unfortunately, to block it from your home, your landline, unless.
But that and it is irritating when you get 20 in a day. And one time I did keep track, and we did have 20 in a day.
That's crazy. I was going to say real quick, I think what I've heard, the significance of the yes is that they're recording your voice saying yes. And then they can cut and paste it into take it out of context and put it into another conversation, like you're giving permission for something.
Okay, thank you.
Lisa, this is Linda. The yes came back to credit cards. If you think about a lot of times when you're doing something on the phone and it'll go through your name and whatnot, and then they give you information and you have to respond with a yes or a no. I think that was the origin of it, was being used to get credit card things approved.
The voice automated systems.
Yeah.
Yes, that makes sense.
Do you have a general block phone number? Because I block constantly and I'm still getting the same calls. I can tell from the phone number. The blocking isn't doing any good on my phone.
Well, my husband says that you can block with the home lines too. So I'm going to just put him on and let him tell you how to do it.
Okay, there's also a comment from Sue Devane in the chat box that says, When someone on the other line says, is this Lisa? Instead of saying yes, she says answer with speaking, instead of yes.
The blocking on the home phone is a function of the telephone. You have to get on and find that option.
I maybe on there's like a lot of background. If you've got two speakers too close to one another, you need to go in another room.
I need to put this one back. I'm gonna turn.
Okay, he's turned it off. Give him a second.
Yeah, there you go. It's better now.
Mine off, yeah.
There you go. Go ahead. Tell us how to block from a landline.
Yeah, all I was saying was that it's a function of the telephone itself that you have to find that option in your menus and whatnot. And I've found it's mildly successful in stopping a phone call. Sometimes it'll ring and it'll show that the thing is muted, but it's not muted. And these people change their telephone number by one digit and call back. They've got ways around it, but you can only, landline phone will only block 30 numbers. So I have to keep going in there and deleting the older ones and adding new ones. And sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not.
Yeah, so depending on how high tech your landline phone is, you might have that option. Ina, was it you that I talked to yesterday?
Yes.
And you mentioned it's your son that helps you with your tech stuff, or was that somebody else?
Probably me. Probably me, because I don't think of a dumb woman until it comes to technology, and then the word describes me perfectly.
Oh, well, if you've got somebody who's tech savvy in your life, I'd reach out to them and
okay. Thank you.
Learn how to block numbers from landlines.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next question here. Panel question number 3. We'll start with you again, JJ. We talked about this a little bit, which always happens. Hang on. Have the number of scams increased since COVID-19? Hang on, I'm gonna mute everybody and then unmute you, JJ. All right, go ahead.
In the days and months to come, we'll have a better idea as to whether or not that number has increased due to the coronavirus or COVID-19. We can definitely say that there are coronavirus scams right now. That's for certain. These are a high priority with multiple agencies, including the U.S. Attorney's Office as well. So when these scams come up to try and defraud individuals, they move up the list of priorities for our agency as well as many others. I know the Secret Service and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service are working investigations in the Indianapolis area related to the coronavirus. They are ongoing and with progress in the area. We're also seeing spoofing emails that come across saying that you can receive funds related to the coronavirus stimulus package, the CARES Act. And of course, they want you to click on different links that are going to take you to unfriendly places. And so we are seeing that also too with the area codes on the phone numbers that come in. We'll see the phone calls come in. They'll have an area code that'll say, for example, 317, and they'll come across saying, we are in your area and we are providing stimulus funds for reasons X, Y, and Z. The truth is that individual calling can be anywhere. And it's something to keep in mind, is just because that area code comes back to one you're familiar with or a relevant area code, it doesn't mean that that individual is calling from the appropriate organization or even in that area. They could very well be on the internet making phone calls and across the ocean.
That's good. And I think we talked about this before in a previous Indy Senior Living Series event. A lot of people are calling from numbers that look just like our cell phone numbers or that close to our cell phone numbers. Marcy.
Yeah, so, scammers will take advantage of any crisis to prey upon people during times of fear such as this. And as I already discussed, we do have recent reports of emerging coronavirus related scams. They may threaten to suspend your benefits unless you pay a fee due to COVID-19 related office closures, or they may try to trick you into paying a fee for a special benefit payment or an increase due to the pandemic. In general, we saw a sharp decrease in the number of scam complaints that we received in April after the pandemic-related shutdowns and the stay-at-home orders began in March. We also received reports from a company tracking robocalls that overall the number of robocalls also sharply decreased in April. So in addition to our aggressive outreach efforts, another potential reason for this could be that the calls are originating from overseas call centers. And we suspect those call centers may have had reduced operations or shut down entirely due to the pandemic. So unfortunately, the number of complaints we received began to rise again in May, and they continue to increase again in June. And this could be that, the call centers are back up and running, but it also could be due to aggressive outreach efforts. We're trying to get it out there, how to report these scams through our website. So due to awareness, there may just be an increase in the reports. We're not sure if we will see a sustained decrease number of the Social Security related scam calls and complaints. We're hopeful that we will. We as an agency are working on a number of efforts relating to investigating like the scammers and disrupting their ability to reach Americans' phones. And several other agencies are also working on this problem.
That's interesting. Tarek, you're up.
Yeah, and I would say I think it's still a little too soon to tell how many more or how much more scam activities have been taking place since COVID. But I will tell you that we've seen specific types of scams, things that we had not seen before COVID as a result of COVID-19. And so one of the main ones that we do continue to hear about is the home tests. This is where, scammers are reaching out, offering older adults testing or test kits in exchange for bank information or credit card information. And that's the main one that we're seeing right now. I tend to think that as things across the country continue to open up, that the possibility always exists that some opportunists will begin to develop a new scam and begin attacking portions of our population. So we're obviously very concerned about that. For us as a mandatory reporting organization, anytime our social workers have had contact with our clients and they've reported something like this, we automatically reach out to Adult Protective Services to at least get it on their radar and pursue that if they would like to do so.
I'm going to open it up for questions, but Tarek, I'll start. Maybe that will encourage people to ask questions. You said you report it to Adult Protective Services. So if we say, I know there are people on here who are caregivers for their parents or other loved ones. If we suspect something is happening, a fraud or scam, is that something that we should do? Report it to Adult Protective Services, or can they call you directly? Or, what's the step for somebody who's caring?
Yeah, that's a great question, Lisa. And my response to that is anyone, anyone can reach out to Adult Protective Services and file a complaint against, if someone is dealing with exploitation, fraud, neglect, abuse or neglect, and that is the appropriate entity. It does not necessarily have to be a managed or an organization that has a mandatory reporting requirement. If it is a caregiver and they think that their loved one may have been exploited, yes, they can absolutely contact APS to file that complaint. I would not stop there, obviously. I would also reach out to law enforcement to file a complaint or file a report. And if bank and/or credit card information has been compromised, they definitely need to contact those organizations as well, so that they can safeguard, their assets moving forward.
You happen to have the Adult Protective Services number?
I don't have it right at my fingertips, but as we're fielding questions, Lisa, I'll go ahead and look it up and put it in the chat box if you'd like.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you. I was
Okay.
starting to do that, but yeah, that'd be great.
There's also, Lisa, there's also an online form for APS that I've actually utilized in my job that is just super easy and user-friendly as well.
Okay, online Adult Protective Services. That's great. Any other questions? Either shout it out, type it in the chats. If you're on the phone, click *6 and it will alert me somehow. *6 if you're calling in. Questions? I'm looking online to see if we have any questions on our Facebook stream. We have some people watching there. If you've got questions and you're on the Facebook watch party, type it in to the comments and I'll ask it here on the video.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to get in before, but I didn't type unmute fast enough. Going way back to the first question, somebody mentioned about green dot scams, and this is something I've never heard of before.
I can touch on that.
Please.
The green dot scams is it can really be a scam of anything. A scam of lottery, a scam of a romance scam, a scam of an inheritance scam. So the scam is just in general, or like Lisa touched on, it can be, hey, we're about to turn off your electricity. We need payment right now. Well, how is it that you pay somebody right now? There's limited options there. One of the ways is this green dot card. It's this card that you can get at Walmart, Target, and other stores, and you can go to CVS, for example, Walgreens, and you can go and you can give money to a clerk more or less, and they will electronically load up money onto this card. Then the individual, for example, if they're going to turn off your power, will say, well, give me that number on the card. And the individual can then use that number and a PIN number and remove all that money that is on that card. The scam can vary, and we have to be open-minded for what the scam can be, but there is a consistency of how that individual can get money right now. So they use this card with the number on it for you to upload real cash onto, and they go ahead and extract that money wherever it is that they want to extract it from. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Get that card.
So don't get the card then.
Correct. Don't get the card, don't give the number.
Yeah.
Okay, don't get it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Somebody's whispering and we can hear you. Sorry. Any questions? I don't want to leave anybody out. Okay, we'll move on. Question number 4, panel question number 4. If we find ourselves in the middle of a scam, how do we get out of it right away and who do we report it to? Like I said on that one about my electricity, I started down the path. It could have been really bad. And then something just clicked. It happens and I don't really trust anybody. I always assume something's a scam. So it can happen to anybody. So if we find ourselves, I know, Marcy, I've heard stories about people who just got too far in. How do we stop it and who do we report it to? We'll start with JJ again. Go ahead.
If you find yourself in the middle of a scam or another individual that you know, family or friend, that is in the middle of a scam, stop taking phone calls. Stop taking text messages. Stop replying. As was said earlier, to slam the scam. Like any salesperson, they want you to communicate with them because then they have a chance. So you can cut off communication, cut off those phone calls, cut off those emails, cut off those Facebook Messenger posts that they're sending you. That is a key way. Some individuals are relentless. I've gone to houses where people are actively getting scammed. They've mailed out cash. And while I'm there, I can be there for 30 minutes and they can get 5 phone calls coming in. So sometimes you have to talk about, do you change your phone number? Do you get a different phone number? And that way they cannot get a hold of you. And they might even, once you do that, they might even take active steps of having police do welfare checks. In their minds, they've made quite a bit of money off of scamming you. So they might have the police come and do a welfare check and say, well, so-and-so is trying to get a hold of you. And they'll try and get a phone number for that individual, or try and just, again, regain some kind of contact. Local law enforcement has caught on to this, but still it's something to be aware of, that they might try and mail you stuff as well. Don't send anything. Don't send them anything whatsoever, especially when it comes to cash. And I can even relate to a family member of mine that started taking an additional 2 medications. And when the medications were taking, she was forgetting. She couldn't remember basic things that she had always remembered. Every 4th of July, we'd go to a carnival every year. We always went there and watched fireworks, and she couldn't remember doing any of this. And it was because of these 2 new medications that she started taking. So on that point, I went and took her to a doctor's and balanced that, so that was no longer an issue. But don't rule out the idea of some medical attention if you find yourself in the middle of a scam, or a loved one that's in the middle of a scam. If it concerns the mail, you can always contact U.S. Postal Inspection Service, which I put the number in the chat log. The Attorney General's office would be interested in this, the FTC, the local police as well. But in this case, it's prevention that's stressed. I know the question's geared towards what do we do once we find ourselves in the middle of it, but try and prevent this the best that we can. And you also got to keep in mind too, that the individual who is trying to take your money, if they've had success with you, they might resort to some kind of tactics, threats, or intimidation as they're sitting all the way across in Nigeria or Egypt or Jamaica. And they might try and use tactics such as, well, I drove by your house last night and I saw you got that white house with the yellow shutters and the basketball hoop and the flower pot. God, this person might have really driven by my house. But the truth is, they're just using Google Maps or finding an old real estate listing that might show pictures of the house. And they're using that information to try and get you to regain communication, to start up talking again, because they want to try and scam you for all that you're worth.
Yeah, I think those scare tactics, I mean, they'd probably work for me. You know, if somebody described my house like that, and they could easily find it on Google Maps, like you're saying. So we need to not make rash decisions and actions because we're scared. We just think it through, right?
And that's true. Definitely, be intentional and be deliberate with how it is that you're going about your safety. And also keep in mind that as a question is, how do we stop this scam? You might be able to stop it now, and that's very good. But a lot of times the different scammers know each other. They're in the fraud business, so they know other fraudsters. So it's not uncommon for them to sell a list or names or phone numbers of individuals that they might have been able to scam in the past. So just because a person stopped, don't be surprised if something comes up weeks, months later, and they want to see if that person's vulnerable again.
So this is a pretty sophisticated operation, is what you're saying, unfortunately.
A lot of times it is. There can be a lot of organization to this, and there can be a lot of different avenues that we go down to investigate this, so it can be well organized.
All right, Marcy.
Yeah, so of course, just like JJ said, the best thing is to not get started in a scam. But if you do find yourself in the middle of the scam, one thing I've noticed from working these cases is individuals who do fall prey to these scams successfully have a great deal of shame and embarrassment. And they do not want to talk to family members about it. They don't want to admit that they fell for a scam. And it's very unfortunate. It's very sad, but you have to understand that these people are professionals and they're very good at what they do. And you're not stupid. It's nothing like that. I also noticed that they tend to get people when they're in a vulnerable situation, like people that are going through like divorces, or maybe widows who just lost their loved one, the best friend of their life, but they catch them at a vulnerable time, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. So the most important thing is that again, stop all communication, just stop it all, and, request assistance from a family member. We encourage you to report to the Social Security Administration using our dedicated online form. And that can be found on our website at oig.ssa.gov. And what that does is we use that information to, fight these scams and to combat these scams. If the scam doesn't relate to Social Security, you can report it to the FTC at www.ftc.gov. Investigators, we use that information when we are investigating these scams and trends, and we do look at that, and it does assist us in our investigations. And then, like JJ said, if you lost money and there was actually, you've sent money to someone, it is best to make a police report regarding that as well.
Okay, Marcy, I was posting those websites that you mentioned in the chat box, and then I'm trying to put them on the live video too. So just to be sure, it's oig.ssa.gov.
Yes.
www, I suppose.
Yes.
Okay, and then the other one is...
So that one's for the Federal Trade Commission, so it's ftc.gov.
Okay. And again, we're recording this, so if you missed those sites, we'll have it online on our website, and we'll post it everywhere. And then if you're on our newsletter email list, you'll get this too. So Tarek, sorry.
No, you're fine. Actually, JJ and Marcy did such a great job. I don't really know what more I can add, but I will say that Marcy hit it dead on the head with the shame and embarrassment. Many folks don't say anything. They stay quiet because they do feel embarrassed. And so my plea would be, don't stay silent. Please use your voices. If you think something is happening, please utilize your voice. Don't stay quiet. Report these types of things, as the other panelists have said, and let's really try and quash a lot of this activity, because again, it is going to continue. The only way that we're going to really combat this is to report in the right places so that change can begin to take place.
Yeah, I agree, Marcy, what you were saying about the shame. I mean, you and I have talked, some really intelligent, bright, sharp people have fallen victim to this, and surely they feel like, I can't believe I fell for that kind of thing. So those were really good points. I'm going to open it up again for questions. So I'm unmuting you all. If you've got some crazy noise going on over there, just mute yourself back. Okay, if you're on your phone and you have a question, you can enter *6 and it will alert me, or just shout out the question. You can also type it in the chat, and if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can type it in there too, and I'll ask it for you. Go ahead. Any questions? The actual original question was, if we find ourselves in the middle of a scam, what do we do to get out of it? If we actually fell for something.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Say this is an really older person who's not really attuned to what's going on in the world. And obviously these people have absolutely no conscience. I've heard of people having their bank accounts emptied by these scammers. Is there any possibility these people ever get their money back, or are they just SOL?
That's a good question.
I can touch
I
on that a
can,
little bit.
yeah, go ahead, JJ.
The answer is sometimes, and it depends on the circumstance. The bank will have rules in place, depending on the circumstance of what happened, that might be possible or it might not. In many instances, that money can be gone depending on the actions that are taken. But a lot of times too, the banks are very good at identifying that someone came in and they all of a sudden have never needed this before, but now they need $9,000 in cash and they need it right now. And the tellers, most every bank I deal with, they're trained to recognize this and identify that, hey, something's wrong here. To really get your question, sometimes it can happen, sometimes it can't. I believe it was Western Union not too long ago that offered some money back for individuals that were scammed via Western Union. That's to touch on a little bit.
Marcy, add to that.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. A lot of times these scammers are so good at once that money hits that card or you read those numbers off. I mean, that money is just gone. It's gone as fast as it came in because they know they need to get it out of there and launder it somewhere else. You know, we have had instances where people have boxed up money to send cash through, like say FedEx, and you know, that night they go to bed and they're like, man, there's something wrong in my gut. And the next day they go to the police, and the police fortunately were able to contact FedEx, intercept the package and get the person's money back. You know, that happens as well. If you find that you may have done something that didn't feel right and you get on it quickly enough. But like, you know, JJ said, once the money is in the bank account, it just depends on the bank, honestly, whether or not they're going to be able to make you whole. But in my experience, a lot of the victims do not end up getting their money back.
And that's my experience as well. Is for the most part, individuals do not get their money back. It's very rare that we can do this. I know people that have given away over $1 million. And again, those scammers come back around a few months later and end up getting even more money. It's sad, it really is. But there are times too where we've been able to intercept cashier's checks in the mail and return those cashier's checks to the individual that was scammed. So there are times we can get the money back, but for the most part, that money is usually gone.
Crazy. I know I just keep thinking about the different things that I have, like settings in terms of like for my bank account, you know, online. If you're online a lot, in getting access to your bank account, you can use the fingerprint ID to sign in, or do the two-step sign in with PayPal or Google Pay or Apple Pay. There are additional safety features to log in and things, or to make a transaction. I did it. I wasn't thinking about fraud, but it actually worked out. I was thinking mostly about my kids, so they couldn't buy stuff without my permission on, you know, whatever sites they go on and buy games and whatnot. And then another, I guess, layer of protection. I use LifeLock. Is this something for a panelist? Do you recommend something like that? Do you know what LifeLock is? Kind of. Anybody?
Yes, I'm aware of LifeLock. I know some people that do use it, and whereas we don't necessarily push any specific corporation, it can help in certain circumstances with credit-related issues.
Are there any other questions? Did I miss anybody? If you're on your phone, *6. If you're on the live video or the watch party, just type in the comments there. And if you're here in Zoom, you can either raise your hand or type it in the chat or just start chatting. Okay. We are going to go to our final question and then we'll open it up again for quick questions and then wrap it up. We're at 11:18 right now. We kind of talked about this already, but if you've got any additional, resources. Here, number 5 is there a way to protect against scammers and fraud? Start with you, JJ.
In this case here, in order to help protect against scammers and fraud, we covered a lot of the possibilities before, but I also want to touch on running your credit report. Find out what's on your credit, look to see what does not look quite right. Why is that credit card there? Why were these attempts made? And maybe something can be pieced together from there. But you can have it for absolutely free, but I think that's important to do. And again, the preventive measures, don't click on emails, hang up the phone when you get one of these robocalls or some individual that's looking to give you something or something you shouldn't have any involvement with, something that a contest you never entered, a lottery you never entered, inheritance from somebody you don't know.
Yeah. Marcy?
Yeah, so the first weapon against fraud is knowledge. Stay vigilant and be aware of the reported scams and the current trends. You can view our scam awareness page at the same website that Lisa put out. There's actually, you can click on scams, like, current scams, and you can actually sign up for e-updates to receive news from OIG. The FTC and the AARP also have good scam awareness sites. Most of our personal information is already in the public sphere, given the number of data breaches. I know myself personally have received like 5 different notices of my personal information being breached. So the key is to identify misuse of that information quickly and take action. One thing you can do proactively is you can place a freeze on your credit with the 3 major credit bureaus, whether or not you're a victim of identity theft. A freeze means basically lenders will not be able to access your credit record when someone applies for credit in your name. So they're less likely to approve that credit. You would get a PIN number that you would use to lift the credit freeze whenever you needed to apply for credit yourself. You can find out more about this by contacting the credit bureaus, which are TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Another good resource is idtheft.gov. It's a great resource provided by the Federal Trade Commission to help you report and then recover from identity theft if you do become a victim. And again, as we all know, don't answer calls from numbers you don't recognize. As we have discussed, even some government or business numbers can be spoofed. I know I talked to a detective yesterday where the lady who was being scammed actually got a call from the local police department. It appeared to be coming from her local police department and saying that, you are not cooperating. There's this warrant out and we personally are going to come out and get you. So again, just know these numbers can be spoofed. And these could be coming from overseas. And then like we talked about the robo blocking services that are available. Don't open links or attachments, such as what JJ said. Monitor your financial and your personal accounts for irregular transactions. And then finally, if you create an online account at Social Security, no one else can create one in your name. So this is especially important if you're receiving benefits. If you aren't receiving benefits, you can still check your earnings record every year to make sure it's accurate. And you can also now apply for like replacement Social Security cards online in all states, including Indiana. I personally have already set up my SSA.gov online, my own record online so that I can go in and check my earnings and just see where my benefits stand, if I were to retire or something of that nature.
Okay, Tarek, you're up.
Yeah, I would, again, to dovetail on what Marcy and JJ have already shared, definitely keep awareness and knowledge at a high level. Don't answer calls from numbers you do not know. Don't share any personal or financial information with anybody over the phone, via text or email. Make sure you are really paying attention to bank statements and credit card statements monthly. So ensure that that activity that you're seeing on those paper statements line up with what physically is in your checkbook. And, you know, just again, stay vigilant, stay focused on this, because these are things that really could help all of us identify and stay away from being taken advantage of in this manner.
Yeah, that's good. Monitoring is really important, regular monitoring. I'm going to open it up one last time for questions. Again, if you're on your phone, hit *6 to alert me, and I'll get you that way. If you are on the computer, you can raise your hand or just start talking or type it in the comments. Chat.
Lisa, it's
Yes.
Ina again, and I would like to ask them, is there some way that somebody else can get our phone number? And the reason I'm asking is several months ago, I answered the telephone and this woman said, "Stop calling my number." And I said, "Excuse me, who is this?" And she said, "I said, stop calling my number." And I had not been on the phone. And so we have our home line bundled with our TV and our computer. And so I called Bright House and I said, somebody evidently has my number. And they said they would investigate. And if they found out anything, they would call me back. And I called back once and they didn't seem to know. But is that something that is a scam, that someone can get your phone number and call other people from that number?
Yes, I can speak to that. That's the spoofing that I had discussed before. Basically, they're using your number. It's the best way to explain it is if I make a call over the internet, I can actually input any phone number that I want the caller ID to say. So I can have it look like it's coming from your phone number. I've actually had this happen. The first time it happened to me, I was like, what the heck? I called the guy back and an older gentleman answered. And I said, "Hey, you just called me." And he's like, "No, honey, I didn't call." And he was so nice. I could tell that he had no idea what I was talking about. So I've had that happen, but they can spoof your phone number. No one else actually has your number assigned to them. It's just a cover number.
Okay. But if they were doing something in a scam and it was my number, then why wouldn't I be responsible for it? I guess
They're very, very savvy, these scammers. Any other questions? Again, *6 on your phone. If you're on Facebook, just type your question in there. I'm looking at the comments here. You can type the question in the chat box or just speak up if you've got another question or comment.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
There was another scam I just want to touch lightly on. Again, as Social Security, as I mentioned, we do the SSA imposter scams, but in doing those investigations, one that I am seeing a lot of that I really can't let go without at least mentioning is the computer virus scam, where the individuals are selling you a computer virus package. And what ends up happening is they will call you like a month later and say the company is now shut down and they want to refund a portion of or all of the amount that you paid for the computer virus software. And they will ask for access into your computer, and they will be able to access your computer. They will ask you to go into your bank account. They'll say the easiest way to refund you the money is just to wire it into your account. And long story short, they make it appear as if they wired you way too much money, like $10,000 as opposed to, $1,000 or whatever it may be. And now you need to repay them quickly because that individual, that employee is going to be in big trouble because they just accidentally wired you without, $10,000 and you need to repay it immediately. That is actually a very common scam, especially for the older population. And I would, if I didn't mention that, I just want to make sure that people are aware that that's a big scam as well. And they need to be very careful about the computer virus software and purchasing those packages and then falling for the refund scam.
So I guess what I'm hearing, I hear a lot of is that scammers are really playing on our emotions, because that's what out of our emotions. They know that they're very sophisticated in the psychology of this. So, who's going to say no to money? Who really is going to say no to really helping somebody out so they don't lose their job? And, who wants people knowing where they live? So they're playing on fear and so many of our emotions. And I really think, we fall for this. Not just, people who are not tech savvy or the older population or, very, sharp individuals fall for this on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
Can I just?
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to make a comment. We've had 6 in the last hour robocalls.
Oh my goodness. You're on
Making me
list.
I sure am.
Somebody posted, Linda posted in the chat, the Attorney General's office in Indiana has traditionally been a good resource to contact as well. Any other questions or comments for the good of the cause? I posted the site for feedback. And if you're calling in and you can't see that site, we'll get you that information if you'd like to give us feedback, because we are doing a drawing for a $25 Visa gift card. Don't want you to miss that. Questions, comments?
Lisa, this is Linda.
Hi.
I'll mention one that we just got recently. It's a takeoff of the grandparent. It was an email, and it looked like it was coming from one of our neighbors who is well known that he was stranded and needed money. Mm-hmm. It was realistic enough. I did see it, but it was realistic enough that I started getting phone calls from neighbors wanting to know how to help him, and had to start instructing everybody that it was a scam.
Yeah. And, this audience here, we've known each other for going on 4 years now. I've met you all in person. This is a sharp audience. A lot of retired teachers and nurses and officers, professionals in their field. And so, again, it's really easy to get caught up in these things. I liked JJ's comment about just assume everything is a scam and go from there. I've done that. And it was actually like a realtor calling about something for real. I'm like, I'm really sorry. You just can never be too careful. But it's easier to say, I'm sorry, and this is, I thought you were a scam, and I've just, been trying to be cautious. It's easier to say that than say back, $10,000 back that you just got scammed for. Anything else?
This has been very, very helpful, Lisa.
Thank you. Okay, I'll give it the last round of, if you've got anything, put it in the comments on Facebook, on the chat, *6 on your phone, or just speak out. We're ending, well, we got to 11:32. Anything?
Yeah, I got one question. How would we find the recording of the comments with all the information?
Oh, great. That's a great question. I did post it in the chat, but I know not everyone can see that. So this video will be posted on our website at downsizingindy.com. Again,
You broke up on me there.
Downsizingindy.com.
Okay.
Downsizingindy.com. Yep, we'll post it. We'll also email it out. I think that was Ina. Was that Ina or somebody else? We'll send it out in an email
Bill.
letter.
Yeah, Bill, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Lisa, yeah, this is Sandy. Just wanted to mention that in the last 2 months since I canceled my home phone, now I'm just using my cell phone, from AT&T, at least twice a week, I'm getting email messages saying that my internet, my sbcglobal.net has been expired, and it gives a date. And it says to me, it lists my email address, and it says the password for my email address expires today, so that I can reissue that, click on the current password and redo it. So, if you look at it carefully, of course, there are typos. It's not really from AT&T. And I haven't fallen for it, but I have reported it a couple of times to AT&T. And of course, they come back with it and say, this is a scam. But I'm getting these 2 or 3 times a day, sometimes twice a day. So it's really concerning. I put this out on my Crime Watch stem to my neighbors so they would be alerted. But, still I get calls from people saying, is this a scam or not? So it's really scary stuff. They're really looking for any way to get into to do evil deeds. So just FYI.
Yeah, report, and change your passwords frequently straight from the site. JJ, you had one last thing.
Yes, good job, Cindy, on identifying that. We see plenty of that information come across through emails where it's made to look like something legitimate. What I always do, even with myself, if I get emails in from Amazon or Best Buy, even though it might look like the real thing and it might have partial account number on there, I still go and I'm intentional with what I do, and I go through my own internet and I go through and I go to Best Buy or Amazon that way. I don't click on any links that come to me to say pay a bill or this is the deal of the day. So good job on your part. And this just one thing I incorporate in is I go my own way and I don't click on the email links.
Good job. Yeah, go straight to the site itself or into your account directly from where you typically go. Okay, we have to wrap it up because I want to be respectful of everyone's time. This has been a great panel, and I miss everybody. I miss seeing you. I try to get some phone calls out before the event, and I just love talking to you guys on the phone too. It's like the highlight of my day when I get you guys on the phone and I'm able to talk to you. So unfortunately, I think that we are going to be on Zoom for probably the rest of the year. So just stay tuned for the event location. I think we're still planning on doing August here on Zoom, but we're trying to make it as easy as possible for you guys to tune in. So I miss all of you. Thank you for participating, and to my sponsors and panelists, thank you very much. Good afternoon, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Lisa, and the panelists.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.